Marin was not an important soldier. He was young, fresh out of training, and sent to a distant outpost where nothing ever happened. His duty was to guard supply runs and scan empty skies. Most days passed without a single alert. The others at the base called the posting a punishment, but Marin thought of it as a chance to learn. One afternoon, during a long patrol on the barren world, his scanner picked up strange signals. They were faint, deep beneath the rocky ground. The planet was dry and lifeless, so signals like these did not make sense. Curious, Marin followed the readings until he found a canyon that stretched wide and dark. At the bottom lay an entrance covered in stone and dust, as if time itself had tried to hide it. Marin hesitated. Soldiers were told not to explore ruins without orders, but no one was watching him. His heart beat faster as he cleared away the rubble and stepped inside. The air was cold, much colder than the desert outside. The walls glowed faintly with alien markings, written in a language he had never seen. Some looked like warnings, others like prayers, but to Marin they were only mysteries. The tunnel led deeper and deeper underground. At first, it was silent, but as he moved farther, he thought he heard faint whispers. He shook his head, telling himself it was only the wind or his tired mind. Yet he kept walking, the beam of his light cutting through the dust. Finally, he reached a wide chamber. In the center stood a huge structure of black metal, smooth as glass and shaped like a coffin. Around it were broken machines and cracked crystal panels. The strange glyphs on the walls circled the chamber like chains of fire. Marin stepped closer. The air around the black coffin was heavy, almost alive. His scanner beeped wildly, warning of strong energy inside. He should have left then, but his curiosity held him. He brushed his hand over the surface, and the metal shifted as if it had been waiting for his touch. A deep rumble shook the ground. The black coffin opened with a hiss, releasing a wave of cold air that made Marin's breath fog. Light spilled out, and a tall figure slowly rose. She was unlike anything Marin had ever seen. Her skin shimmered pale silver, her hair flowed like liquid night, and her eyes burned red with hunger. She looked both beautiful and terrifying. Marin froze. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but his legs would not move. The figure stretched her arms and let out a sound that was neither scream nor sigh but something in between. The chamber trembled as if the walls themselves feared her return. She looked at Marin, her gaze sharp enough to cut through steel. For a moment, he thought she would kill him instantly. Instead, she tilted her head, studying him like a hunter seeing a new kind of prey. "You are not of the old races," her voice echoed, smooth yet cold. "Strange. You are new to the stars." Marin swallowed hard, forcing his voice out. I am human. My people came here long after your time." The queen stepped closer, her presence pressing down on him like a storm. "Human," she repeated, tasting the word. "So the galaxy has changed. My prison is broken, and I live again." Marin realized the truth too late. The chamber was no ruin. It was a prison. The markings on the walls had not been for decoration but for warning. He had freed something that should never have been touched. The queen spread her hands, and the air around her pulsed with dark energy. "I am Circera," she declared, her voice carrying power that shook the stones. "I was chained by cowards who feared my hunger. But their chains could not hold forever. Now I will take back the stars." Marin's heart pounded. He had heard stories of monsters in old myths, but this was no myth. He had unleashed a living nightmare. Yet for reasons he could not understand, she did not strike him down. "You will guide me," Circera said, her red eyes fixed on him. "You will show me this new age." Marin wanted to refuse, but he felt trapped. He was just one soldier, standing before a being that had once ruled empires. He had no weapon that could harm her, no command that could stop her. All he had was his own courage. He nodded slowly, knowing his choice no longer mattered. The queen smiled, sharp and cruel, but also curious. For the first time in centuries, she was free. For the first time in his life, Marin had stepped into a story greater than himself. Above them, the barren planet stayed silent, hiding the truth beneath its surface. In the deep chamber, however, the stars had gained back one of their oldest rulers. And a human soldier stood at her side, uncertain whether he had just doomed his people or begun something far greater. Sakura's steps echoed in the underground chamber as if the stones themselves remembered her. Marin followed, his weapon useless in his hands. Every moment near her felt like standing at the edge of a storm. He knew he had made a mistake greater than any soldier could imagine, but there was no turning back. The queen's eyes glowed faint red as she looked around the ruins of her prison. She touched the cracked walls, and sparks of dark energy leapt from her fingers. So much time wasted, she said quietly. 1,000 years stolen. But hunger does not forget. Marin's chest tightened at her words. Who imprisoned you? He asked. Sakura turned to him, her expression cold. The ones who feared me. The old races. They joined hands against me. They built chains of light, prisons of crystal, and songs of silence. Yet they are dust now, and I live. She lifted her hand, and the air shimmered with power. Their victory was nothing but delay. Marin felt a chill run through his bones. Why did they fear you? Her smile was sharp, showing teeth too perfect, too dangerous. Because I fed on them. I take what they guard most closely. Their strength, their life, their fire. I drank empires dry. Marin stepped back. He had heard many tales in training about alien threats, but none had spoken of something like this. This was no fleet, no empire of machines, no disease. This was hunger given form. Sakura tilted her head, studying him again. But you are different. Human blood sings in another way. I sense fire, but not the same as the old ones. You are new, and you interest me. Her gaze made Marin feel as if she could see through his very soul. Yet strangely, she had not killed him. She had spared him when she could have drained him in a breath. The thought left him both relieved and unsettled. Above the chamber, distant thunder rolled across the barren world. Marin's communicator crackled with faint signals from his base, but he dared not answer. If they knew what he had found, they would call for weapons, and weapons would only bring death. Sakura stretched her arms, as if testing her strength. This galaxy still has voices. I hear them. Ships fly, colonies live, and wars are fought. The stars are awake. Her voice grew low. And now I will wake them to fear once more. Marin swallowed hard. If you bring fear, they will fight you again. She laughed, a sound that shook the dust from the ceiling. Let them try. I am hunger eternal. Their fleets will feed me. Their courage will die in my hands. Then her eyes softened for a moment as she looked at him. But you, soldier, you will not die today. You will walk with me. You will show me this new galaxy. Marin's thoughts raced. Should he try to escape? Should he warn his people? Or should he stay near her, to learn her intent and maybe, somehow, stop her? He did not know the answer. All he knew was that she had chosen him, and no one had ever told him how to refuse a queen born of nightmares. The ground trembled again, but this time it was not from Sakura. Marin's scanner beeped as a ship entered orbit above the world. It was not human. The signals marked it as a scavenger craft, likely pirates searching for old ruins. Sakura's red eyes flared brighter. Pray, she whispered. She strode out of the chamber with grace that seemed unnatural. Marin rushed after her, stumbling to keep pace. When they reached the surface, the pirate ship hovered above the canyon, lowering small craft with armed raiders. The pirates were laughing, thinking they had found treasure. They did not know what awaited them. Surkara raised her hands. Darkness gathered around her like a cloak. With a single gesture, she struck. The raiders screamed as energy drained from their bodies. The ship above sparked and cracked as if its very life was being stolen. Marin watched in shock as the massive vessel, strong enough to hold hundreds, was reduced to a lifeless husk in moments. When the last spark died, Surkara stood tall, her body glowing faintly with renewed strength. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply, as though she had tasted the sweetest feast. "Yes," she said softly. "The hunger is awake again." Marin's stomach twisted. Those pirates had been dangerous men, yes, but they had died faster than he could blink. No weapon of human design could have done that. He realized that if Surkara turned her gaze toward human colonies, nothing would stop her. She turned to him, her expression calm. "You see now why they feared me. But do not fear, Marin. You are mine, and I do not waste what is mine." Marin did not answer. His thoughts were torn between fear and duty. He had unleashed her, and now he walked beside her. Perhaps, he thought, staying near her was the only way to protect his people. Far above, the stars looked down cold and silent. News of Surkara's return would soon spread across the void, carried by whispers and wreckage. Entire worlds would tremble when they learned that the vampire queen was free again. And a single human soldier was the only one standing at her side, caught between terror and fate. The wreckage of the pirate ship still floated in the sky above the canyon. Smoke and sparks drifted across the barren land. Marin stood frozen as Surkara stepped forward, her silver skin glowing faintly with the energy she had taken. Her red eyes shone like fire in the dark. She looked at the ruined ship with satisfaction. "The galaxy has forgotten my name. But now it will remember." Marin tightened his grip on his weapon even though he knew it was useless. He felt the weight of guilt pressing on him. By freeing her, he had given the stars back their greatest predator. Yet she spared him again and again. He could not decide whether that was mercy or something worse. Surkara turned to him. "You will guide me. Where are your people?" Marin hesitated. If he told her, she might go straight to human colonies. If he refused, she might kill him or force it from him. He chose careful words. "There is a human colony not far from here. But they are not soldiers, only workers and families. If you harm them." She raised her hand to silence him. "I do not waste myself on the weak. I need warriors, fleets, and voices of power. Yet hunger must be fed. Take me to this colony. I will see what humans are." Marin's heart sank. He could not hide the colony from her. He had no ship of his own, but Surkara seemed to sense the direction of human presence. With a gesture, she lifted the remains of the pirate craft and pulled power from its broken core. Energy wrapped around her like wings, and she began to move across the desert with speed no human could match. Marin followed on foot, struggling to keep up until she slowed for him. "You are slower," she said, almost amused. "But you are mine. I will not leave you behind." Hours later, the lights of the colony came into view. It was a small settlement with domes and towers, built to harvest minerals from the dry soil. Children played near the gates, and workers carried supplies to storage halls. None of them knew what was coming. Surkara stopped on a ridge, watching. "So these are humans," she said softly. "They live in dust, yet I see fire in their eyes. Strange creatures." Marin stepped in front of her. "If you attack them, they will fight. Maybe they cannot stop you, but they will never bow." Her eyes narrowed. "Good. I do not want slaves who kneel. I want foes who resist, for their resistance feeds me best." She lifted her hand, and dark energy began to form. Marin's chest tightened. "Wait. If you destroy them, others will come. Soldiers, fleets." You said you wanted to see the galaxy first. Let this colony live, and you may learn more than by killing. For a moment, silence hung between them. Then Serkara lowered her hand. You are bold, human. Very well. I will not strike them without reason. But I will taste what threatens them. As if summoned by fate, alarm suddenly rang across the colony. A fleet of raiders dropped out of the sky. Their ships were larger and better armed than the pirates before. The colonists rushed to shelter, while a few small defense guns powered up. They were outmatched. Serkara smiled. Perfect. I will hunt. Before Marin could speak, she leapt into the air. The raider ships opened fire, but beams of light bent around her as if refusing to touch her. She landed on one vessel, tearing through its hull with her bare hands. Energy poured into her as the crew screamed and collapsed. The colonists watched in shock from below as the Queen tore through ship after ship. Her movements were swift and graceful, almost like a dance. The raiders, fierce and merciless against colonies, were nothing before her. Within minutes, their fleet burned and fell from the sky. When the last wreck crashed into the sands, Serkara stood tall, her silver form glowing brighter than ever. She spread her arms, and her voice rang across the colony. I am Serkara, Queen of Night. Remember this day, for the stars belong to me again. The colonists stared in silence. Some whispered in fear, others in awe. She had saved them, yet the way she had done it left no doubt of her power. To them, she was both savior and monster. Marin walked down into the colony beside her. He saw families holding one another tightly, unsure whether to thank or curse the queen. The local leader, a man named Darren, stepped forward. His face was pale, but his voice steady. You destroyed the raiders. For that, we are grateful. But who are you? Serkara's eyes burned. I am older than your colonies, older than your kind in the stars. I am the hunger you cannot cage. You will remember my name. Darren bowed his head, not in respect but in fear. Then we will remember. But tell me, will you protect us or destroy us? Serkara looked at Marin, as if inviting him to answer. For a moment, the soldier felt the weight of the whole colony on his shoulders. He took a breath and said, she will protect, if we give her reason. If we stand strong, not weak. The queen smiled faintly at his words but did not deny them. She turned and walked away, leaving the colonists whispering among themselves. Some saw her as a savior. Others saw her as the doom that had just begun. Marin followed, his heart heavy. He knew the truth. The galaxy would hear of this battle, and word would spread fast. Serkara had revealed herself. And now, every fleet, every ruler, every world would prepare for the return of the vampire queen. The colony slowly returned to silence after the battle, but whispers still filled the air. The people did not know whether to thank Serkara or to hide from her. To them she was both savior and curse. Marin could see the fear in their eyes, and he felt it in his own heart as well. That night, Serkara stood on the ridge above the colony, watching the stars. Her silver form glowed faintly in the dark, and the wind moved around her as if afraid to touch her. Marin walked up the slope, holding a small data pad filled with records from the colony's library. He had been searching for answers since the day he freed her. I read something, Marin said carefully. There are old records of your kind. Not much, but enough to show why they feared you. Serkara turned her head slightly, her red eyes glowing. Tell me. Marin tapped the screen. It says the old races fought together to stop you. You ruled worlds, you built an empire of night. They said you could not be stopped in battle, so they trapped you instead. The queen's face was unreadable. Yes. They feared my hunger, but they feared my rule even more. I was stronger than them, and they hated it. They spoke of peace, but what they wanted was chains for me. She lifted her hand, and a faint shadow of power danced in her palm. They betrayed me, and for that betrayal, I drank their stars until they united. Then they buried me in silence. Marin felt a cold weight in his chest. So you are not only a monster. You were a queen. You had people. Circara's gaze grew distant, as though she was remembering voices long gone. I had legions who followed me. Some loved me, others obeyed out of fear. All are dust now. Empires fall, but hunger remains. Marin closed the data pad. He thought about her words. Part of him wanted to see her only as an enemy, but another part saw a ruler who had been betrayed and trapped. She was dangerous, but she was also wounded by time. Before he could speak again, a signal came from the skies. A fleet was entering the system. The colony scanners lit up with warnings. These were not pirates. The markings showed a warlord named Dreenak, a conqueror known even in human reports. He was brutal, and he gathered broken fleets to serve him. Circara's eyes narrowed. I know this name. Dreenak. His line once served me. Traitors all of them. Marin stiffened. If he knows you are alive, he will try to take you. He wants power, and you are power. The queen smiled coldly. Let him come. His kind once chained me. I will not wear chains again. The colony was in chaos as Dreenak's ships appeared in orbit. Heavy guns aimed downward, threatening to crush the settlement. Through the communicator, his voice rang across the valley. This world belongs to me. Surrender your treasure, or burn. Marin clenched his fists. He had seen reports of Dreenak before, entire colonies stripped bare, survivors dragged into slavery. He looked at Circara, wondering if she would fight him or join him. She stood tall, her presence radiating ancient power. Dreenak does not know what he faces, she said calmly. But he will learn. Marin turned to her. If you fight him, you might save the colony again. But if you join him, then everything is lost. She looked at him, her red eyes sharp. And what do you want, soldier? Do you wish me to fight for your people? Do you believe a queen of hunger can be a shield? Marin swallowed hard but did not look away. I believe you can choose. You were betrayed once. Maybe now you can choose to be more than hunger. For a long moment, Circara said nothing. Then, slowly, she smiled. Bold words from such a small voice. Very well, Marin. I will fight him not for your colony, but to remind the stars that Circara does not bow. The sky lit up as Dreenak's fleet began to descend. His warships were massive, built from stolen parts and ancient wreckage, but still deadly. Colonists rushed into shelters, fear heavy in the air. Marin stood at the gates with the others, watching the heavens burn with fire. Circara raised her hands, and the shadows around her swirled like wings. Watch, human. This is how queens are remembered. Her power surged upward, striking at the warlord's fleet. Energy flared as shields cracked and ships shuddered. Dreenak himself appeared on the screens, his face twisted with anger and greed. He pointed at her with rage. You. The stories were true. You are mine now. I will chain you, and your strength will be my crown. Circara's laugh shook the ground. You think I am yours? You are nothing but a thief of dust. She rose into the sky, her form shining like a star made of night. Marin felt both fear and hope as he watched her rise against the warlord. The past had returned to the present, and once again, the galaxy's oldest queen would not be silent. The battle was only beginning, and Marin knew he was standing at the edge of history. The sky burned with fire as Dreenak's fleet rained down its fury. His warships spread across the heavens, their weapons glowing bright. The colony shook with each blast. Dust and smoke rolled through the air, and the people huddled in shelters, praying they would survive. Marin stood at the gates, watching Circara rise into the storm. Her silver form glowed brighter than the flashes of the battle. Shadows coiled around her, forming wings of night. She moved with speed no eye could follow, striking Dreenak's ships one after another. Energy drained from them as easily as water flowing from a broken jar. But Dreenak was no fool. His flagship was armed with ancient weapons stolen from forgotten vaults. These were not simple cannons, they were relics made by the old races, the same ones who had trapped Surkara long ago. Their beams cut through the night, forcing her back. Marin's heart pounded as he saw her stumble. For the first time since she had awakened, Surkara looked wounded. Her voice rang out in fury. Cowards' weapons. Chains reborn. Dreenak laughed from his throne aboard the flagship. His image appeared on the colony's screens. Yes, Queen of Night, I know your secret. You cannot be killed by ordinary fire. But these weapons were made for you. And now, you will kneel. The beams struck again. Surkara fell from the sky, crashing into the sand with such force that the ground split. Marin ran to her side, dust filling his lungs. He found her struggling to rise, her glow dim. Stay back, she hissed. But Marin shook his head. I will not leave you. Above, Dreenak's soldiers landed, armed and ready. They rushed toward the fallen queen. Marin raised his rifle and fired, cutting down the first wave. He knew he was only one man, and his weapon was nothing compared to their fleet, but he would not let them take her. A blast struck nearby, throwing him to the ground. He tried to rise, but pain burned through his body. Blood ran down his side. His vision blurred, yet he forced himself to crawl back to Surkara. She looked at him, her red eyes filled with something strange, something not hunger but surprise. Why do you fight for me? You are only human. Marin coughed, tasting blood, but he managed to answer. Because, you don't have to be alone. Not again. Her gaze softened. For the first time, she saw not a soldier, not prey, but something else. A choice. Dreenak's voice thundered across the battlefield. Finish them. Bring me her body, and bring me the human alive. I will show him what happens to those who defy me. Surkara's hand trembled as she touched Marin's wound. You will die if I do nothing. Marin forced a weak smile. Then don't do nothing. She stared at him for a moment, then her decision was made. She pressed her hand to his chest, and her power surged into him. Dark energy wrapped around his body like fire. His pain faded, replaced by strength he had never known. His vision cleared, sharper than before. His heart beat fast but steady, in rhythm with hers. Marin gasped as the power filled him. He felt alive, more than alive, as if the stars themselves burned in his veins. Yet he remained human. His mind, his soul, were his own. Surkara pulled her hand back, her glow dimmer than before. Our bond is made. You carry my life now, as I carry yours. If you fall, I fall. Marin rose to his feet, stronger than he had ever felt. He picked up his rifle again, but now it felt light as air. He charged at Dreenak's soldiers, moving with speed that shocked even himself. Blaster fire streaked past him, but he dodged with ease. His strikes were precise, and his courage burned like a flame. Together, Marin and Surkara fought as one. She rose again, her strength partly restored by their bond. Her shadows spread across the battlefield, tearing through Dreenak's forces. Marin's rifle sang with each shot, and his blade cut down foes who thought him weak. Dreenak watched in fury as his soldiers fell. He slammed his fist on his throne. Impossible. No human could fight beside her. No one could share her power. Surkara's voice rang out across the sky. You sought to chain me, Dreenak, but you cannot chain what has found freedom. This soldier chose to stand with me, not out of fear, but out of will. That is strength you will never understand. The warlords' ships began to retreat, their weapons still firing but with less fire. Dreenak himself pulled his flagship back, swearing revenge. "This is not the end, Queen of Night. I will return with greater fire. And when I do, not even your human pet will save you." His fleet jumped into the void, leaving wreckage and silence behind. Serkura lowered her hands. Her body swayed with exhaustion, but her red eyes still burned. Marin stood beside her, breathing hard but alive. He felt the bond between them pulsing like a heartbeat. It was strange, frightening, but also powerful. She looked at him quietly. "You gave your blood for me, and I gave you mine. Now we are bound. I cannot forget this, human." Marin nodded slowly. He did not know what their bond would mean for his future, or for humanity. But he knew one thing: he would not turn away. Not now. Together, they looked up at the stars. Dreenak was still out there, and the galaxy would soon rise against them. But for the first time, Serkura was not alone. And for the first time, Marin was more than just a soldier. The colony was quiet after Dreenak's retreat, but the silence carried no peace. People whispered of the queen who had fought like a storm and of the soldier who now moved with inhuman strength. Some saw hope, others saw danger. To them, Marin and Serkura were both saviors and threats. News of the battle spread quickly. Across human channels, commanders debated what to do. Some wanted to send fleets to destroy Serkura before she grew stronger. Others argued that she had saved a human colony from raiders and might be an ally. Every leader knew the truth: the vampire queen had returned, and the galaxy could no longer ignore her. Marin stood beside Serkura on the ridge overlooking the colony. He felt the bond in his chest, the strange rhythm of her life beating with his. It gave him strength, but it also gave him a heavy burden. If he fell, she would fall. If she died, he would too. They were tied together, whether he wanted it or not. "You hear the whispers," Serkura said quietly, her red eyes scanning the stars. "They call me a monster. They call you a traitor." Marin nodded. "They don't understand. To them, you're only a danger. To me, you're more complicated than that." She gave a faint smile. "You speak as if you know me well, soldier. But I am still hunger. I am still shadow." Marin met her gaze. "Maybe. But you made a choice to fight Dreenak, not join him. That means something." Her eyes softened, though her voice stayed firm. "Perhaps. But others will not see it. They will come for me soon, with all their fire and fleets. And when they do, you must decide if you stand with me or with them." Before Marin could answer, alarms rang through the colony again. This time it was not pirates or raiders. It was a messenger ship carrying human officers. They landed at the edge of the settlement and demanded to see the soldier who had walked with the queen. Marin went to meet them. The officers looked at him with suspicion. Their leader, a stern woman named Commander Vera, spoke sharply. "Marin, you are accused of breaking protocol, freeing a dangerous entity, and allying with her. You will come with us at once." Marin stood tall, though his heart raced. "I did free her. I didn't know what I was unlocking. But if I hadn't stayed with her, this colony would already be ash." Vera's eyes narrowed. "You don't understand. She is a threat to all of humanity. We cannot allow her to walk free. She must be destroyed." Before Marin could reply, Serkura appeared behind him, silent as the night. The officers stiffened, their hands moving toward their weapons. Her presence pressed down on them like a weight. "You think to destroy me," she said, her voice calm but sharp. "You could not chain me before. Do you think your small fleet can now?" Vera did not flinch. "If you truly want peace, you will surrender yourself for judgment. If not, then you prove the fears correct." Marin stepped between them. "Wait. If we fight each other now, Dreenak wins. He is out there, gathering more power. He has weapons made to kill her, and he will use them on us all. Surkara may be dangerous, but she has already fought for us. We need her. The officers hesitated. Some seemed moved by his words, others only grew more cautious. In the end, Vera said, "We will send word to High Command. Until then, this colony is under watch. Do not leave." As their ship lifted off, Surkara looked at Marin. "You defend me, even when your own kind doubt you." He sighed. "Because I've seen the other side. If Dreenak wins, none of us survive. You may scare them, but you're also the only one who can stand against him." Her red eyes glowed brighter. "You speak like a leader, Marin. Perhaps the bond has changed you more than you know." Days passed. Colonists repaired their homes, but fear lingered. Whispers grew across the stars. Some worlds began to admire the Queen's strength, saying she was proof that humans could command respect in the galaxy. Others demanded her destruction. The galaxy was dividing, and shadows of war stretched far and wide. Then the message came. Scouts reported that Dreenak had returned, and this time he carried weapons not seen for ages, ancient machines built to pierce the Queen's heart. Entire fleets rallied to his banner, promising him glory if he destroyed her. Marin and Surkara stood on the ridge once more, watching the night sky. The bond between them pulsed, strong and steady. She looked at him with rare softness. "The war comes, Marin. If you walk beside me, you walk into fire." He gripped his rifle, his voice steady. "Then I'll walk into fire. Better to fight with you than hide while the galaxy burns." Her smile was sharp but touched with respect. "Then we fight together. The war of shadows has begun." The stars above flickered as fleets moved across the void. The galaxy no longer stood united. Fear and admiration split worlds apart, and Dreenak's return promised chaos. In the middle of it all stood a queen of hunger and a human soldier bound by blood. And as the darkness of war spread, both allies and enemies would soon learn that humanity was not a race to be ignored. The colony shook as news came in. Dreenak's fleets were moving through nearby systems, crushing every outpost that refused him. His soldiers spread fear, leaving ruins behind. People whispered that he carried ancient weapons, tools from the old wars built to pierce even a queen's heart. Marin stood at the edge of the settlement, staring at the dark horizon. Ships of the colonists and human fleets gathered, but everyone knew it would not be enough. Dreenak's army was too strong. Only Surkara could stand against him, and even she looked uneasy when she felt the distant pull of her enemy. "The war is here," she said quietly, her red eyes reflecting the glow of the sky. "Dreenak comes for me. He will not stop until my blood is spilled." Marin tightened his grip on his rifle. "Then he'll have to go through me first." She gave him a faint smile. "Brave words, soldier. But you and I are bound. If he kills me, you die. And if he kills you, I fall with you. We share one fate." Marin nodded. "Then we fight as one." The colony became a fortress. Barricades rose, weapons charged, and fleets formed a defensive ring in orbit. Humans and Surkara's remaining followers worked side by side. For the first time, two races stood together, not because of trust, but because of survival. The stars lit up as Dreenak's fleet arrived. Hundreds of warships, larger and stronger than most had seen, darkened the sky. His flagship towered above them all, a vessel bristling with ancient weapons. From its core came a signal that chilled the air: the Heartseeker, a weapon designed only for one purpose, to end the Queen. Surkara stood tall on the ridge, her dark cloak swirling in the wind. "So he brings the past to fight me," she whispered. "But the past is dead. Only we remain." The battle began with fire. Ships clashed in the void, their cannons tearing light across the stars. Human fighters darted between enemy lines, striking fast but paying dearly. Colonists on the ground fired at incoming dropships, fighting tooth and claw to protect their homes. And then Dreenak himself descended. His armor gleamed with cold light, and his strength bent the earth when he landed. His voice rolled like thunder. Queen of Shadows! Your time is over. The galaxy will bow to me, and your memory will be nothing but dust. Serkura stepped forward, her red eyes blazing. You have chased me across centuries, Dreenak. But you forget one thing. I do not fight alone. Marin stood at her side, rifle steady. His heart pounded, but the bond filled him with unnatural strength. For a moment, he felt as if the power of the Queen flowed through him, steady and unbreakable. Dreenak raised his weapon, a blade forged to pierce even immortal flesh. Then both of you will die together. The ground shook as they clashed. Dreenak's blows were heavy, shaking Marin to his core. Serkura moved like a storm, her claws and speed striking again and again. Marin fired at every opening, forcing Dreenak back step by step. But the ancient warrior was not so easily broken. His blade cut across the Queen's side, and pain surged into Marin through their bond. He nearly fell, but Serkura caught him, her grip firm. Stand, soldier, she said, her voice sharp. We cannot fall. Together, they pressed forward again. Serkura's power burst outward, shadows forming wings around her. Marin felt his body move faster than he thought possible, each strike guided by their shared bond. Still, Dreenak laughed. You are strong, Queen, but you are not enough. He raised his blade high, its edge glowing with ancient fire. The Heartseeker will end you. At that moment, Marin saw it. The bond between him and Serkura was not only a chain. It was a bridge. Her power flowed through him, but his will also flowed into her. Together, they were more than separate beings. They were one. He stepped forward, blocking the swing meant for her. The blade cut into his armor, pain burning through his chest, but he did not fall. Instead, he shouted with every bit of strength he had. Now, Serkura! The Queen roared. Shadows burst from her, wrapping around Dreenak like chains. With one final strike, her claws pierced his chest, and the fire in his eyes dimmed. The ancient warrior staggered, his blade falling from his hand. For the first time, Dreenak looked afraid. You should not have been, he whispered before the shadows consumed him. Silence fell. The battle in the sky slowed, then stopped, as enemy ships broke formation and fled. Without Dreenak, their will crumbled. The War of Shadows ended on that field. Serkura stood over the fallen warrior, her chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. She looked at Marin, who was wounded but still alive. Their bond had kept him from death, even when the blade struck him. You gave yourself for me, she said softly. Why? Marin forced a smile, though pain ran through him. Because you gave yourself for all of us. I just followed your example. For the first time, her eyes lost their sharpness. She placed her hand on his shoulder. You are more than a soldier now. You are the proof that humans can stand even in the darkest war. As dawn rose over the colony, survivors looked at the ridge. They saw a human soldier standing beside the vampire queen, not as enemies, but as allies. Fear still lingered, but hope grew stronger. The galaxy had changed, and no one could deny it. Serkura turned her gaze to the stars. The war is over, but the galaxy will not rest. They will come, questioning, fearing, seeking power. But now they will know humanity walks beside me. Marin nodded. And we'll be ready for whatever comes next. The light of dawn spread across the land, marking the end of one age and the start of another. The Queen and the soldier, bound by fate, had shown the stars that humanity was not weak. They were not prey. They were partners in the War of Shadows, and together, They had changed the future.